There are plenty of news as always. I'm Maria Drutska and today I will tell you about how unknown drones have finally struck the decision-making center in Russia, how Russia lost its unique secret strategic drone, and also about the tight cooperation, I would even say Russia's dependence on North Korea. Today, a series of images and videos appeared online, which were initially circulated as showing a downed Russian Su-25. However, later, based on the aircraft records, another version emerged. The enemy might have actually lost its Su-34-35. But it's quite likely that the Russians have suffered their first combat loss of their newest heavily struck drone, or the Su-70 Okhotnik, the Hunter, which only exists in few prototypes. This happened near Konstantinivka, which is controlled by Ukrainian forces. According to Defense UA, there are now several videos circulating online clearly showing one aircraft shooting down another in the sky. There were discussions about whether it was our aircraft that hit the enemy aircraft or if it was friendly fire. And if you look closely at one of the videos where the hit and the fall of the downed aircraft are recorded, you can conclude that it is more likely not a plane but a drone, specifically the heavily promoted Su-70 Okhotnik. By the way, you can watch full videos in my Twitter page. Russian propagandists have already commented on the downing of this rare Russian UAV. The internally optimist fighter bomber downplaying the incident, saying that it was just a drone and emphasizing that Russia is already mass producing both Orion and the Okhotnik, which supposedly are invulnerable to air defense. However, if we talk about the Okhotnik, the Hunter, it's hard to believe that its mass production. Open sources indicate that Russia currently has only 3 prototypes of these UAVs, with 3 more under construction. Additionally, the start of serious production of the Okhotnik has been delayed several times. It's likely that before starting mass production, the Russians decided to test their prototypes directly on the battlefield. How long this UAV performed missions before being shot down is unknown, but the fact that the enemy may soon have such a weapon should not be overlooked. Work on the Okhotnik program has been underway at Russia's Sukhoi Design Bureau since 2011. The drone is built using a flying wing design. According to the developer's plans, the UAV will be used to strike enemy targets without entering the air defense zones of manned aircraft. The drone will be able to carry missiles and bombs weighing up to 2.8 tons in internal compartments. Length is 14 meters, wingspan is 19 meters, and its takeoff weight exceeds 20 tons. According to unconfirmed data, the Russian drone's flight range can be about 6,000 kilometers, and the cost is approximately $15 million. Russian channels say that if you try to connect the obvious facts of the downing, one clear version emerged. They shot down it themselves to prevent it from falling into the hands of Ukrainian defense forces. Why might this have happened? The Russians suggest several reasons, some of which are even somewhat logical. Electronic warfare and loss of communication, similar to the situation with civilian Mavic drones causing uncontrolled flight, or electronic warfare and Ukrainian interception aimed at diverting and landing it at a Ukrainian airbase. The same fighter bomber writes that both the Okhotnik and its escort fighter were flying over territory controlled by Ukraine at high altitude, exposed to all air defense systems, including man-pads. In other words, the Russians could have lost not only the Okhotnik but also the accompanying Su-57 fighter. Well, unfortunately, that didn't happen. So, The legendary, invincible Russian military technology strikes again. This time, their precious Okhotnik, the hunter, ends up as nothing more than another multi-million-dollar firework display. As usual, the Russian challenge spin it up into a success story because in their world, nothing says victory like shooting down your own multi-million-dollar drone. Maybe next time they will take out the Su-57 on purpose to prove that nobody else can. Well, before I continue, I want to thank all of you who sent coffees on Buy Me a Coffee and become Patreons. Please do so if you want more videos on the channel. You can also help this channel by subscribing to it and like this video. And as it will definitely help Ukrainian content to be seen by more people. And I suggest you also to subscribe to my X page where I post regular updates about the situation in Ukraine, and to my Instagram where I show the daily life in Ukraine. North Korea supplies Russia with around 3 million shells per year, which is half of the all ammunition the Russian army uses in the war against Ukraine, according to sources in Western intelligence reported by The Times. Despite the poor quality of North Korean ammunition, the sheer quantity has allowed Russian forces to alleviate their shell hunger and achieve success on the front, such as the capture of Ugledar. Moscow has become dependent on arms supplies from North Korea after Putin's visit to Pyongyang. The head of intelligence, Ukrainian intelligence, Kirill Budanov, has stated that ammunition supplies from North Korea tip the scales in Russia's favor. He said, "Our biggest problem among all Russia's allies is North Korea because with the volume of military products they supply that actually influence the intensity on the fighting," he said. At the end of June, the Washington Post wrote that North Korea had supplied Russia with about 1.6 million artillery shells from last August last year to January 2024. According to South Korean intelligence, North Korea has already been supplying arms to the Kremlin after Putin turned to Pyongyang for help in the summer of 2022. Almost 5 million artillery shells have been sent from North Korea to Russia, as well as ballistic missiles. In return, Moscow has been supplying Pyongyang with tanks, airplanes, and technologies for its spy satellite program, Bloomberg quoted the South Korean defense minister. Well, this all seems fair. While the West supplies weapons to Ukraine, North Korea supplies weapons to Russia. Of course, the fact that the great and powerful Russia has become completely dependent on North Korea is quite amusing. Here is another piece of news. Nothing major, but North Korea will help Russia, which is facing a shortage of apples. Moscow has agreed with Pyongyang to buy North Korean apples, the Russian agricultural watchdog Roskhoznadzor reported. But overall, everything in Russia is going just fine as usual. And here is something else I wanted to share with you. More than 20 military personnel died on October 3 as a result of a strike of Ukrainian armed forces on a Russian military base near Donetsk. Kyiv Post reported, citing sources in Ukrainian intelligence, and among the dead were 6 officers from North Korea, which came to meet their Russian colleagues. 3 more North Korean soldiers were injured. According to the publication, prior to the strike, representatives of the Russian Ministry of Defense were demonstrating to the North Korean guests the training of Russian servicemen for offensive and defensive operations. Let's get this straight. Russia is now relying on North Korea for ammunition, military advice, and, of course, apples. The next logical step, well, maybe Putin can ask Kim Jong-un to send some sunshine and rainbows over Moscow. Well, looks like North Korea supplies everything for Russia to win this war. And for those poor North Korean officers attending Russia's military showcase, well, let's just say they got a front row seat to Russia's most advanced defense tactic, getting blown up by Ukrainian missiles. And now for some delightful news today. The Ukrainian armed forces have played their trump card, I would say. They have finally struck the most important decision making centers. In the Voronezh region, UAVs attacked alcohol plants. Apparently, this is how the Ukrainian army decided to wake up a large part of the country's population from its slumber, because heating oil refineries affects car owners who account for just over 32% of the Russian population. But alcohol plants? Now we are talking about real red lines, and we are expecting some furious posts from Dmitry Alko Medvedev or Maria Press Alkashe Zakharova any minute now. Quite a radical way to get through to the Russian people. And I just read a Russian joke that fits perfectly. Dad, vodka has gotten more expensive. Will you drink less? No, son, you will eat less. By the way, these plants can also produce additives for military fuel, but I think the Russian people may have briefly come to life and felt a bit of sadness. And nothing stirs the heart of the Russian population like a threat to their most sacred resource, vodka. Forget military base or oil refineries. If you want to get the message across, heat the booze supply. I guess now the Kremlin's real challenge will be figuring out whether to ration fuel for the tanks or drinks for the generals. And as for Alka Medvedev, he will probably need a double just to recover from this one. Cheers. That's it for today, my little Russophobes. I want to thank all of you for supporting Ukraine, watching Ukrainian content. Please like this video, and if you really like it and you want more videos on the channel, you can support the channel's development on Patreon or buy me a coffee. See you soon, and Slava Ukraini!